Emotional intensity doesn't arrive in a dramatic explosion. It begins quietly, deep in the circuitry beneath your awareness, long before a single tear forms or a single word is spoken. Some people are born into the world with a nervous system tuned like a high-resolution instrument, not broken, not fragile, but exquisitely responsive, picking up frequencies the average mind filters out without even noticing. In these individuals, the brain is less like a fortress and more like an observatory. Wide-open windows, vast internal acoustics designed to capture the smallest shifts in the emotional weather. When a sound echoes, it echoes louder. When a tone shifts, it registers immediately. When a face tightens or softens, the change lands in the mind like a whisper amplified into a message. It starts with the amygdala, that primitive almond-shaped alarm center that sits in the deep structure of the brain, scanning every moment for meaning, threat, beauty, and possibility. In emotionally intense people, the amygdala is more reactive, more vigilant, more alive. It does not overreact because something is wrong. It simply reacts faster because it evolved to notice more. The emotional system lights up like a constellation before the rational brain even begins forming an explanation. And so, what looks like strong feelings from the outside is actually the inner machinery doing its job at full power. A brain that responds in high definition. But the amygdala doesn't operate alone. It is connected by a dense web of neural wiring to sensory regions, the parts of the brain that interpret sound, light, touch, temperature, movement, facial expressions. In most people, these networks dampen incoming information, smoothing the world into something manageable. But in emotionally sensitive individuals, the filters are thinner. Sensations travel along the neural pathways with fewer speed bumps, fewer edits, fewer softeners. Ordinary stimuli, a harsh tone, a sudden noise, an unspoken tension in the room arrive like a wave that hasn't been muted. And because emotion and sensation are tightly interwoven, the brain interprets these signals with greater depth. A slight change in someone's voice is not just a sound, it's a shift in relational energy. A passing comment is not just a sentence, it's a spark that ignites self-reflection. A fleeting expression on someone's face is not just muscle movement, it's a story, a possibility, a question. The mind is constantly decoding, interpreting, connecting. The result is emotional vividness, not weakness, but richness. For people who feel deeply, emotional reactions are not chosen. They are triggered by internal systems designed to react quickly and intensely. Their threat detection pathways fire sooner, not because danger is everywhere, but because their brain is wired to protect them with speed, not distance. This wiring makes life feel immediate. Joy bursts through like sunlight without warning. Sadness shades a moment with unexpected depth. Affection hits with the force of a wave, and fear arrives before logic can negotiate. It can feel like the heart is always sitting close to the surface, never locked away behind armor the way it seems to be for others. But this sensitivity is not an error, it is an evolutionary variant. Some nervous systems evolve to be watchtowers, detecting early changes in the environment that others might miss. This is why emotionally reactive people often sense tension in a room before anyone speaks, feel drawn to comfort someone before they've expressed distress, or react emotionally before they can articulate a reason. The world enters them quickly, the response follows with equal speed. The emotional brain does not wait for permission, it fires, it flares, it interprets. And because it is so tightly tied to memory centers like the hippocampus, emotionally sensitive people encode events with greater detail and greater emotional resonance. A look, a sentence, a moment, it becomes imprinted with depth. Positive memories feel warmer, brighter, fuller. Negative memories feel sharper, heavier, more persistent. This isn't because the person is dramatic or overly attached, it's because their mind captures emotional data the way a long exposure camera captures light, deeper, richer, more intense. The emotional echo lasts longer, the emotional fingerprint harder to erase. Even minor moments leave impressions, not scars but textures. pieces of internal geography the person carries with them. And while the world often praises logical detachment, it misunderstands emotional intensity. It assumes strong feelings are signs of instability rather than signs of a brain running powerful internal processes. The truth is that emotional intensity often correlates with greater empathy, stronger creative imagination, and heightened awareness. These individuals often notice subtle dynamics in relationships, small changes in behavior, and shifts in emotional energy long before anyone else. They anticipate moods, understand unspoken emotions, and sense underlying meanings. They see not just what is said, but what is hidden. They experience not just the moment, but its emotional contour. Their mind is constantly reading the emotional atmosphere, scanning, interpreting, feeling. This can make them incredible friends, artists, thinkers, caregivers, and problem solvers. But it can also make life exhausting, because when your brain processes emotions in high definition, the world becomes louder. The highs and lows stretch further. The inner weather changes quickly and intensely, and the body responds along with the mind. A racing heart during conflict, trembling during overwhelm, warmth during connection, tears during deep emotion. These physical responses aren't signs of immaturity or fragility. They're signs of a nervous system wired to respond rather than numb. The sensitive brain does not shut down easily. It does not dull itself to preserve efficiency. Instead, it illuminates, it reacts, it absorbs. It is a brain that refuses to go through life half awake. Science shows that emotionally intense individuals often have stronger connectivity between the prefrontal cortex, the thinking brain, and the limbic system, the feeling brain. But instead of dampening emotions, this connection intensifies them, meaning emotional information flows back and forth with less inhibition. Thoughts trigger feelings and feelings trigger thoughts in a tight loop that makes experiences both rich and overwhelming. The person does not simply feel something, they think about the feeling, they analyze, interpret, reflect. This deep processing is part of the reason emotions hit harder and stay longer. Not because the person is holding on to them, but because the brain is still working through the layers of meaning embedded in the experience. And this responsiveness extends beyond emotion into perception itself. Sensitive minds often perceive the world with enhanced detail. Slight shifts in the environment, faint sounds, subtle patterns. Their sensory system is tuned to a higher resolution. This is why cluttered environments can feel stressful, loud sounds feel jarring, bright lights feel overwhelming, and sudden changes feel destabilizing. The sensitive brain does not filter out excess data easily. Instead, it receives more information than the average brain, which can amplify emotional reactions. When the world feels too much, the emotions that follow also feel too much, not because the person is weak, but because their sensory and emotional circuits are intertwined. Even joy feels different for emotionally intense people. It doesn't just feel pleasant, it feels expansive, luminous, almost overwhelming. A kind gesture can bring tears. A sunset can dissolve them into awe. A moment of connection can feel like a universe opening. These experiences are not exaggerations. They are reflections of a brain wired to feel the fullness of emotion. The same system that makes sadness heavy also makes beauty breathtaking. But here is the quiet truth, rarely spoken. Emotional sensitivity is not a flaw in the machinery. It is the machinery. It is the way some human brains were built, tuned higher, feeling deeper, responding faster. It is a form of internal awareness that cannot be switched off, only understood. And when emotionally sensitive people finally realize this, when they understand that their reactions are not too much, but simply the true volume of their internal instrument, they stop apologizing for their depth. They begin to see their sensitivity not as a burden, but as a lens, a way of experiencing life in richer textures, stronger colors, and deeper emotional tones. They are not fragile. They are vivid. Emotional intensity doesn't suddenly appear in adulthood like a storm forming out of clear skies. It begins quietly, in the earliest years of life, in the soft, unspoken spaces where a child learns what the world feels like. Before we have language, before we can name feelings, before we understand ourselves, the brain is already shaping its emotional threshold, deciding how loudly the world should echo inside us. Some children are born with more reactive nervous systems, yes, but those reactions are carved, sharpened, softened, or heightened by the emotional climate they grow up in. A child raised in an atmosphere of warmth and predictability doesn't just learn safety, their brain literally wires itself around it, building stronger soothing pathways, quieter alarm systems, gentler responses. But a child raised in stress, even subtle, quiet, unspoken stress, doesn't simply feel bad. Their brain becomes trained to scan, anticipate, react, not because they want to, and not because anything is wrong with them, but because their brain learns from the world the way roots learn from the soil, adapt or wither. And so, emotional intensity in adulthood often has a ghost beneath it, an echo of how the child once learned to experience the world. The emotional threshold, the point where feelings ignite, is shaped long before we understand the concept of emotion. Babies learn the world through consistency. Is comfort predictable? Are voices soothing or sharp? Do faces relax or tighten? Does the environment feel calm or chaotic? The answer becomes the blueprint the brain grows around. When a caregiver responds gently, the baby's nervous system learns to calm more easily. When voices are harsh or unpredictable, the nervous system learns to stay ready. And these early lessons don't vanish when childhood ends. They become the scaffolding of adult emotional life. A person who grew up in a stable environment may feel a sudden emotion, but return to balance quickly. A person whose early world was louder, sharper, or less predictable may experience the same emotion as a wave that lasts longer, hits harder, echoes deeper. This is not weakness, it is a learned pattern of vigilance. The brain remembers the world it first met. Even subtle childhood experiences, not trauma, not disaster, just subtle emotional environments, shape sensitivity. A child with a parent who worries constantly may grow up with a nervous system that mirrors that hyper-awareness, learning early that the world requires extra scanning. A child who grows up in an environment where emotions are big, dramatic, or unpredictable may internalize the volume of those emotions without realizing it. A child whose feelings were often dismissed. Don't be sensitive. Stop crying. It's not a big deal. May grow into an adult who feels things intensely but also feels confused, even ashamed about that intensity. Not because the feelings are wrong, but because they were never mirrored by someone who understood them. When a child's inner world isn't reflected back, the inner world grows, but the understanding of it does not, and so the adult feels deeply but struggles to make sense of the depth. Emotional models also shape sensitivity. Children learn not only from what caregivers say, but from how they respond to emotions, their own and others. A parent who openly expresses fear teaches the child that fear is a loud signal. A parent who hides sadness teaches the child that sadness must be carried internally, becoming heavier and more intense. A parent who reacts strongly teaches the child to anticipate intensity. A parent who stays calm teaches the child that emotions can be felt without being overwhelming. But the key lesson is this: the child absorbs not just actions, but emotional atmospheres. They absorb tension through silence and safety through tone. They internalize the emotional rhythms of their home the way they internalize language, automatically, invisibly. Attachment experiences also matter, not in a clinical way, but in a human way. Every child asks the same question without speaking it. When I reach out, will someone be there? When the answer is usually yes, the brain learns softness. When the answer is sometimes yes and sometimes no, the brain learns alertness, an emotional readiness that can turn into adult sensitivity. And when the answer is rarely yes, the brain learns independence paired with internal intensity. Feelings burn inside because there is no external outlet. These patterns don't doom anyone, but they create emotional habits that carry into adulthood. A person who grew up consistently supported may experience emotions like passing weather, strong but temporary. A person who grew up unpredictably supported may experience emotions like storms, sudden, powerful, hard to ignore. And a person who grew up emotionally alone may experience emotions like pressure inside a sealed container, intense, private, overwhelming. These differences are not faults. They are maps of how the heart once learned to protect itself. But emotional intensity isn't shaped only by stress or unpredictability. It can also grow from love, from receiving deep affection, attention, or emotional closeness. A child who experiences deep emotional resonance with others may develop a sensitivity to connection itself, an ability to feel deeply because they once felt deeply held. A child who is encouraged to express their inner world may enter adulthood with an expanded inner world. And a child who grew up surrounded by creative, emotionally open people may learn that emotion is a language worth speaking loudly. Emotional intensity, in this sense, can be a gift passed down, a family inheritance not of fragility, but of depth. Childhood also influences emotional thresholds through how the brain interprets safety. In a calm environment, the brain learns to regulate itself quickly. The emotional surge fades sooner, the alarm quiets sooner, the body returns to baseline sooner. But in environments where calm wasn't predictable, the emotional surge doesn't fade as fast. The brain keeps the alarm active just in case, not because danger is present now, but because danger was possible then. This is why some adults experience prolonged emotional waves. Their brain learned to hold feelings longer, not because it wants to, but because at one time holding was safer than releasing. Emotional endurance develops in childhood, and it persists. Then there are the small, ordinary emotional lessons, the ones so subtle they almost go unnoticed. A child who was often praised for being strong may learn to suppress feelings until they grow too large. A child who is told to be careful may learn to anticipate risks everywhere. A child who is rewarded for being quiet may internalize emotions instead of expressing them, making them feel bigger inside. A child who is frequently soothed may grow into someone who feels deeply but trusts their emotions. A child who had to soothe themselves may feel deeply but struggle to calm themselves. These are tiny patterns, tiny echoes, but across years they create emotional landscapes. Yet the most powerful influence of childhood is not any single event, but the emotional tone of early life, the background music that played while the brain was forming. Some people grew up in an atmosphere of emotional openness, where feelings were named, discussed, understood. Others grew up in an atmosphere of avoidance, where feelings were tucked away or redirected. Others grew up in environments where emotions were overwhelming, always present, always intense. These environments instinctively train the brain. Should I feel quickly? Should I feel deeply? Should I feel quietly? Should I feel everything? And the brain listens. But perhaps the most profound truth is this: emotional intensity grows from emotional meaning. A child who learned that relationships matter deeply, that connection is important, that emotions are signals rather than inconveniences, will grow into an adult who feels in rich colors. A child who learned that the world is unpredictable will grow into an adult who feels every shift. A child who learned that emotion is a language will grow into an adult fluent in it. The roots of emotional intensity are not flaws, they are the history of a mind that learned to survive, to understand, to protect, to connect. And adulthood does not erase these imprints. Instead, it reveals them. A person wonders why they feel things so strongly, why a small comment lingers, why a shift in tone feels like a message, why joy comes with such force, why sadness arrives deeply. The answer is not that something is wrong now. The answer is that something was learned long ago. Emotional sensitivity is the echo of every moment the child scanned the world, tried to interpret it, tried to understand where safety was. And that echo becomes the adult's emotional frequency. But the most important part? Emotional intensity is adaptable. The brain reshapes. Emotional patterns change. Awareness brings flexibility. Childhood may build the foundation, but adulthood builds the structure. Understanding the origins of emotional sensitivity doesn't trap a person in the past, it frees them. Because once you know where the intensity comes from, once you see its roots, the intensity becomes less of a mystery and more of a map.